The most powerful law enforcement officer in the United States has a secret, and that secret did not disqualify her. It did not slow her down. It did not even make the front page for long. Instead, it launched her career to heights most prosecutors only dream about. There is a $25,000 check at the center of this story, a decision that was quietly buried, a political career that should have collapsed under the weight of it all, and a loyalty so precise, so calculated that it eventually unlocked the biggest office in American law. This is the rise of Pam Bondi. And once you understand how she got here, you will never look at the Justice Department the same way again. Pamela Jo Bondi did not arrive at the top overnight. She built her image brick by brick over 2 decades. Born in Tampa, Florida, she earned her law degree from the University of Florida and spent years as a prosecutor in Hillsborough County, building a reputation as someone who was relentless in the courtroom. She was charismatic. She was camera ready. She understood that in American politics, perception is everything. In 2010, she ran for Florida Attorney General and won. She became only the second woman ever to hold that position in the state. She was tough on crime, tough on drugs, and she knew how to work a room. Republicans loved her. The media found her compelling. She was being watched as a rising star in the party. Everything looked clean. Everything looked legitimate. And then came 2013, and with it, a check that would redefine everything. Here is the background you need to understand what happened next. Trump University was one of the most controversial business ventures Donald Trump ever attached his name to. Thousands of students, many of them working-class Americans who scraped together their savings, paid tens of thousands of dollars for what they believed was elite real estate training. What many of them got, according to lawsuits and their own testimonies, was a predatory scheme designed to extract maximum money while delivering minimum results. Multiple state attorneys general were actively reviewing whether to join a class action fraud lawsuit against Trump University. New York was already deep in. Texas had opened an investigation, and Florida, with its enormous population of vulnerable retirees and aspiring investors, was one of the most critical states in play. Pam Bondi was the Attorney General of Florida. Her office was receiving complaints. Former students were coming forward. The pressure was building, and then the Trump Foundation wrote her a $25,000 check. The donation went directly to Injustice for All, Bondi's political action committee. It was dated September 17, 2013. Bondi had personally called Trump's office just days before the donation was made, according to reports. She was asking for campaign support. 2 weeks after the check arrived, her office announced it would not be pursuing the Trump University case in Florida. Now, hold on, because this is where people start choosing sides, and you need all the facts before you pick yours. Bondi denied any connection between the donation and the decision. She said the Trump University matter had been reviewed by career staff, not by her personally, and that the evidence did not meet the threshold required to move forward. Her supporters called the accusations a smear campaign. They said she made the right legal call and that the timing was simply a coincidence. But the IRS did not see it that way. The Trump Foundation was eventually found to have made an illegal contribution. The donation to a political committee was a direct violation of federal tax law for a nonprofit. The foundation paid a $2,500 penalty. The whole transaction was documented, investigated, confirmed, and still no serious legal consequences for Bondi. That moment right there is the hinge point of this entire story. Because what happened, or more precisely, what did not happen, set the template for everything that followed. In American politics, scandals are supposed to end careers. The rules are clear, at least in theory. You take money from someone you are supposed to investigate, you lose your position. You exercise judgment that benefits your donor, you face consequences. That is how accountability is supposed to work. But Bondi did not lose her position. She served out her term as Attorney General. She remained a powerful voice in Republican politics. And when Donald Trump ran for president in 2016, she was one of his earliest and most vocal supporters, appearing at rallies, defending him on national television, and building a bond of political loyalty that would prove more valuable than any court verdict. Then came impeachment. In January 2020, Donald Trump stood before the United States as only the third president in American history to face an impeachment trial. The charges were serious. The world was watching, and his legal team needed faces. People willing to step in front of cameras and argue that the President of the United States had done nothing wrong. Pam Bondi was one of those faces. She sat at the defense table. She addressed the Senate. She delivered arguments on behalf of a man who, 7 years earlier, had written a check to her campaign committee. The optics were extraordinary. Critics were screaming about the conflict of interest. Constitutional scholars were raising their eyebrows, but Bondi did not blink. She performed her role. She was composed, articulate, and utterly unshakable. And when it was over, her loyalty had been displayed on the most visible stage in the world. Not behind closed doors, not in whispered conversations. Publicly, permanently, on the record, that kind of loyalty does not go unnoticed. When Trump returned to power in January 2025, his first choice for Attorney General was Matt Gaetz. That nomination became a catastrophe almost immediately, collapsing under the weight of a House Ethics Committee report and a cascade of damaging allegations. It was one of the most embarrassing confirmation failures in recent political memory. The administration needed a replacement fast. They needed someone with legal credentials, someone with confirmation viability, Someone whose loyalty was not just claimed but demonstrated. They called Pam Bondi. Her confirmation hearings were intense. Democrats hammered her on the Trump University donation. They asked pointed questions about independence, about conflicts of interest, about what it means to serve as the nation's top law enforcement officer, while being so deeply tied to the man in the Oval Office. Bondi answered every question with the same polished, unwavering calm she had displayed for years. The Senate confirmed her, and on that day, the woman who had once received a suspicious donation from a private citizen named Donald Trump became the Attorney General of the United States, the head of the entire Department of Justice, with oversight of every federal prosecutor in the country. Since taking office, Bondi has been at the center of some of the most aggressive and controversial legal moves the DOJ has made in decades. Investigations into political opponents, scrutiny of media organizations, actions that critics have called the weaponization of federal law enforcement. Supporters argue she is dismantling a deeply corrupt system that was never held accountable. The debate rages at full volume, and it is not quieting down. But here is what sits underneath all of it, the thread that nobody can cleanly resolve. The $25,000 check was never fully explained. The decision not to pursue Trump University in Florida was never subjected to independent review. The woman who made that decision is now in charge of the institution that could have reviewed it. And the man who wrote that check is now the President of the United States, with direct authority over the department she runs. The law is supposed to be blind. But in Washington, it has always had a very precise sense of who is in the room. So the only question that matters now, the one that nobody in power seems willing to answer directly, is this: when the person enforcing the law has an undisclosed, uninvestigated financial history with the person she serves, is that justice? Or is that just the most sophisticated loyalty program in American political history?